Hey guys, Raphie here, Preferred Plumbing. I keep on getting this question, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the information that you deserve to know. What is the difference between a traditional water softener versus a revolutionary Flowtech system? Okay, there's a lot of naysayers, there's a lot of doubters out there, and there's a lot of people saying all sorts of nonsense about this product. And honestly, it comes from a lack of education. Traditionally, the only way people knew how to deal with hard water was with a conventional water softener. A water softener is a large, cumbersome piece of equipment that gets installed in line, which means we got to shut the water to your house, cut the supply pipe, reroute all the water into the softener, and then out of the softener to distribute water to the home that is officially softened, which means we're using a brine tank and a canister of media beads, essentially, like little bead resin beads kind of thing. And basically what we're doing is we're using ionic exchange to extract minerals out of the water, leaving you with what's called soft water. I personally don't like the feeling of soft water. It has a sleeky, slimy feel, as well as I personally like to keep the calcium and magnesium, those minerals, in the water. I feel like it's healthy and good for us. The Flowtech is different. The Flowtech is very different. It's a water conditioner. It's not a softener. We are not removing minerals out of the water. We're retaining those healthy minerals in the water. But what we're doing is we're using a low frequency signal, electromagnetic pulse, that's being propagated thousands of times a minute into the fluid column throughout all the supply piping of the house. And what we're doing is we're reversing the charges of the minerals. So when there's a supersaturation situation happening, which is anytime the water pressure gets reduced or there's a temperature increase, which is happening all the time in our system, especially shower controls or water heaters, etc. Generally, the minerals will precipitate out of solution, and then they create lime scale and calcium buildup, which is the gunk and scale and crust you see on your shower heads or on your aerators. And this is what's wreaking havoc in your plumbing system and creating a huge drop in efficiency. But what this pulsating signal does is it reverses the charge of the minerals so they no longer precipitate out of solution. It remains in suspension. It essentially stays as a fluid. It stays in suspension. And if there's a lot of scale activity, they'll create what's called seed crystals, and they'll stick to themselves as opposed to sticking to the inner walls of the pipe, as opposed to sticking to your faucets, to your cartridges, your toilet components, your water using appliances, etc. So the reason why I like Flowtech a lot better than a water softener is, firstly, I don't like carrying 20-kilo bags of salt down the stairs or storing them in my basement. Secondly, it's a very invasive install to put in a water softener. It's very invasive, it's cumbersome, it's large, and it's maintenance. There's a lot of maintenance. On average, if you run the math, it'll run you, depending on the house, depending on the hardness level of the water, depending on the occupancy of the home, anywhere between about $500 and $1,000 a year to operate. What water softening companies are not telling you is that there's a backwash cycle, a regeneration cycle, where it cleans itself out. That happens every 2 to 3 days, and on average, will expel and drain between 150 and 300 liters of water every 2 to 3 days. So between the cost of the water, the cost of the chemicals, the salt, the maintenance, everything, you're spending money for the rest of your life. The Flowtech system is maintenance-free, chemical-free. There's nothing you need to do. Once we install it, it works 100% of the time, whether the water is flowing or not flowing. And the beauty of this is, unlike a softener, Flowtech systems break down all the existing scale that's already built up in the system, whether your house is 55 years old, 80 years old, or 20 years old, it doesn't matter. There's existing scale built up in your home. Water softeners are not breaking that down. But the pulsating electromagnetic signal, that pulse, is returning the scale back into solution. So we're actually bringing life and longevity back to your plumbing system. That's why I'm a big Flowtech fan. I personally, I'll tell you a personal example. I have a 16-year-old tankless water heater. Any professional will tell you at 16 years old, it should not be working as well anymore, and it definitely needs to be looked at and have maintenance every year. And they're probably right. But I'll admit it, I don't do maintenance on my tankless water heater, and it works beautifully. I have 6 people living at home in the family, and we never run out of hot water. It gets hot immediately, and it stays piping hot. The reason is I have a Flowtech mounted right next to my tankless water heater. Any scale that was built up in the years prior to us moving in the home has been already removed. No new scale is building up, and that system is running like the day it was made. If you're asking me, unless you have a hair condition or some sort of skin condition or eczema or psoriasis or something where you really need to remove the minerals out of the water, I would say this is your best bet, in my opinion. All right, guys, stay grateful. I appreciate you. If you have any questions, give us a shout. We're always here for you.